that was the most on the team.
Yeah.
And so there's a couple of ways that I wanted to go after those folks. I've had experience selling trade shows and stuff like that before, so it kind of came easy to me. So obviously we want GCs there. That's the most. I mean, we've always wanted GCs there, so that's the most obvious thing to put on there. But as far as others to go after, subcontractors obviously are. I say obviously they're. How are you?
Hey, come on
There's
in.
subs have not traditionally been who we've wanted to sell booths to at the showcase, but I had probably at least 5 of the people that I sold last year were subs that wanted to have a booth. So I'm going to put subs up here as far as folks to potentially sell booths to. And as far as the subs that I sold to, I had a roofer there. I had a specialties contractor there. I had I had a concrete guy there. And as I said, those are not traditional booth buyers. Granted, we've only done booth sales for 2 years now. But as far as who could potentially, and that's not the top one that I would say, but I had a few that just wanted to get in. So then the other one, and this is a bigger one, I think, are suppliers. And that could be suppliers in a couple of different ways. It can be suppliers that have stores specifically locally, or they have some kind of outlet that the subs and others can go to buy products. It can be distributors, and the cool thing is they can sell at their booth if they want to. If they want to have, if they want to make sales at their booth, if they want to get orders, whatever, they can bring some of their products and set them up at their booths. They can do that, and so suppliers have been a good one for me. As far as some of the ones that I've had, I had a sand and gravel supplier be the raffle sponsor last year. I have decorative concrete supply company, Barnes Co. They have been at the last 2 showcases. They're going to be there this year. They think it's a great event, which it is. I had Airgas, which is like a welding supply, welding and generators and things like that supply. You know, anybody like that, any suppliers that because subs are going to be there. So subs are a natural sales base. GC's not so much for them, but it makes sense totally for them to be there. So suppliers, I think, are a no-brainer.
Dave, you back up. What subs did you sell last year?
I sold a roofer. I sold a specialties company. So division, I believe that's division 10.
Why do you think that roofer bought? Contractor. Why do you think he bought?
Well, it was Alpine Roofing.
Okay.
But they wanted to be there for the marketing aspect of it, and I tell you, afterwards he was like, "Man, we'll do this every year. This is great."
Because the branding exposure.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So it's not going to be for everybody, but subs that get it, because there's a lot of these subs that do trade shows anyway. Mm-hmm. So it makes sense for some of them to get here, and the cost of our show is not expensive in regards to some of the ones that they do.
Right.
Now, if somebody's never done a trade show, $1,750. Well, I don't know if I can swing that or whatever, but I need to get X number of sales if I'm gonna justify that. Okay, that's fine. But there's some that are like, that's it. Oh, sure, sign me up. You know. So the other one, or the next one, I would say, there's also kind of a crossover on some of these too, because I need a better pen. Because there are some that are both subs and suppliers, in that they have some kind of, they sell equipment and they also install as well. So you have some, like I have a security company that sells security cameras and that kind of stuff. They also install access control and that kind of stuff. They also rent. They have this is neat. They have a mobile unit that they will rent out to GCs. They'll also sell them as well, but they will rent out to GCs and have it on site. And it's a mobile surveillance unit that can surveil the whole job site. And you know, they got a lot of good traction on it last year at the showcase. So
I remember that.
So there's some that kind of tick several boxes. So for them it makes sense as well. And then there's also professional service folks. And when I say professional services, I'm talking people that are consultants. I had, they can also be employment agencies, lawyers, financial service companies. So maybe they do accounting software or they do something like that. They want to get in front of construction industry people. So anybody who wants to get in front of the construction industry as a whole that potentially sells to them is a potential customer. And the other thing is we have a lot of people that come up in our territory wizards that so much of the time they're not great biz builder candidates, but they come up anyway, and they were added to our prospect list years ago. But some of them are a great fit for something like this. If they want to get in front of subs for sure, GCs as well, because the GCs that have booths, because there's a lot of GCs that come and they don't get booths, but they still walk the floor. They still want to see what's going on. They still want to network.
Even the ones that do are there.
Right, and they want to walk the floor too. So anybody that they want to get in front of, it makes sense.
Bonding.
Well, you can also
bonding, bonding and insurance as well. Any of that which ties into financial stuff, exactly.
Hiring agencies.
There was a lawyer there from Houston. I forget their name, but they were in the magazine too. They were at the Houston and the Dallas showcases. They might have been at the San Antonio one too.
They did all three.
Yeah,
They loved it.
Exactly, and there were no other lawyers there. Like I think that's one that we ought to go after.
Absolutely.
Big time.
Yeah.
I mean it's low hanging fruit,
Mm-hmm.
And then another one I would say are so this is professional service people, and then I would also say equipment, which kind of ties into suppliers as well. But this one, we're talking rentals. We're talking either of any kind. It can be. So I had Dallas Light and Barricade there last year. I mean, this is tailor made for that kind of thing because they can sell to any of these people.
What about an auto dealership that sells trucks?
Yes,
yeah.
I had a fleet management. I had enterprise fleet management
perfect.
there at the 2016 one. So anybody who has a contractor as a customer, it makes sense to go and target.
And follow it up with an ad in the magazine.
Right,
Full-page ad.
exactly, and that's something else. So if they get a booth, and this is tied on to kind of magazine sales as well, having an ad in the magazine so that they can reference at their booth is a great tie-in. It's a leave behind. It's a great leave behind as well, but it has kind of something actionable that they can show right there. But if they're going to be at the showcase, it makes total sense for them to be in the magazine too. So as far as the who to go after, these are kind of the big ones that I would say. And then as far as the strategy is concerned, so my strategy, it seems kind of obvious, but it really is. It's really kind of just running the plays and just doing what we're supposed to do regardless. But I tell everybody about it. And in the past, we've all told all of our subs because we wanted them to all get a good turnout on the day. But when I say tell everybody, so I mention it to people like, hey, we have our showcase coming up. It's in May this year. Most people that I meet with have heard of it. Like, oh yeah, the deal at the ballpark. Oh man, it's great. And they want to confirm same place this year. So everything's okay, cool. So most people that I meet with have either been there, Some people, they're like, wait, are you guys the guys that put that event on every year? Like sometimes that's the genesis of the appointment to begin with. So I make sure to tell everybody, I bring it up on every call. And then the other thing that I would do is when I bring it up, I say, oh, by the way, we sell booths now too. So every sub that I meet with, I'm like, hey, if you want to get a booth, you can do that. Now, you don't have to, but I just wanted to let you know it's an option now, because a lot of them aren't aware that that's even an option, because for so many years it wasn't.
Right.
For so many years it was GC only. And some of them don't want a booth, and honestly, some of them don't need a booth. But if they want to get a booth, they can. Now, there's some people, especially if they've just signed up for Blue Book and they're just getting their feet wet and they're green, they're like, okay, I'll get a booth too. And some of them are like, maybe this year just walk the floor, and then if you're interested next year, get a booth then. Because I'm not, this is kind of the overselling thing. While I want to sell as much as the next guy, some people, they might kind of just on the surface be interested in everything, but they don't need everything right off the bat. If they go and they're like, well, I'm kind of glad I didn't get one, or this was enough for this year, next year let's increase our presence, whatever. You kind of play it by ear, but in my experience, it's good to just let them know about it, and in many cases, they'll sell themselves on it. If they do trade shows, if they've been before and they liked it, and they kind of planted the seed of, it'd be great if I could have everybody come to me instead of me going to everybody else. That's kind of the other idea with this, is they can all come to you at your booth at the show. So I tell everybody about it. Existing customers too, like I was telling you, because as I said, a lot of existing customers don't know that it's even an option. So that's something, and I usually like to once we start having flyers, I like to take a flyer, and then I can kind of reference it as I'm going. Here's some of the people that are going to be there. But this is, as I had mentioned at the start, we've always been able to bring GCs into this, and so when we can say, hey, here's some of the GCs that are going to be there to these subs, a lot of them are excited to be able to get in front of some of them. But so that generating attendance off of the flyer is a no-brainer.
We used last year's. Last year's is powerful. That shows all the logos.
Sure. And last year's is good to use kind of as you can kind of show both, because this one has the accurate information on it. Last year's has a more complete list of who was there. So as far as for them getting a better idea as to what to expect, I think that's a good way to do it.
Do you have last year's in SOS, or they've already updated it?
Yeah, I probably have some in my car. I'm sure some of us have one laying around.
Give some to Janice to make copies.
Yeah, sure.
So David, would you mind doing a role play with somebody and show us how you sell the showcase?
Sure, yeah.
Chris, you want to do it with him?
Sure.
Hey, Chris, in the role play, ask about the deposit. I'm curious, because that was my question, but you can ask in the role play.
Sure.
If there is a deposit, full payment or what?
It's my understanding it's full payment now because
It is, yeah. So it's payment in full.
Upfront?
Yeah. So that's the only drawback really at this point, just because not everybody's going to have the money right then to do it. Not
Is that for
everybody.
booths and ads? For everything?
and I
that
think there's
showcase?
a percentage for the ad.
Sponsorship.
Just showcase.
For showcase.
Yeah, the showcase only.
Okay.
Just showcase.
Showcase on.
Yeah. So, and that's just because last year,
For
people didn't pay for the booth.
non-GC, non-hiring.
Yeah. So, so I would just start off, and I would the spiel kind of differs between if it's an existing customer or not. But I would say I want to tell you about our showcase event coming up in May. We've been doing it every year now for 10 or 15 years. It's a great event. I mean, literally, it's the biggest event of its kind in the commercial construction industry. We have last year we had around 150 exhibitors there, mostly GCs, but we had some other construction industry folks too.